Hope you're all doing well. It's Alex here from On Street Garage again, and we are doing the last episode of supporting mods for the new turbo in the Landcruiser. We've got a new bull bar on that we got off Marketplace, which I'm really loving. I think it's tidied up the look of the car. And today we'll be putting on a front mount intercooler. We'll be doing a new viscous fan, and then I'll be doing another back-to-back test to see how that affects EGTs and general highway driving. So stick around and we'll get straight into it. My brand new project. Okay, so the kit I've gone with is a PDI front mount kit. We've got everything in here that we need from what I can tell. So this is what we're dealing with at the moment. We've still got the standard DTS set up. It's got a top mount on it. I'm thinking what I might do before we get into it is I'm gonna get some degreaser so we can give it a bit of a clean up under here and tidy up. I'm also thinking the new intercooler piping, I want to paint it all black. I just don't want unnecessary trouble.
So our first step is to get clear access to everything. So I'm going to pop the grill out first. And whilst that's out, I'm actually going to do a little bit of custom work to it and paint it. So the next step on the instructions says to cut this tab off here that you can see in the video. Obviously, if we're cutting anything steel, we want to sand it back so there's no sharp edges, and then give it a good coat of paint so that it's protected from the elements.
Okay, so we got everything stripped back. I took the headlights and battery out just to make everything easier. And I'm gonna give everything a bit of a clean up in here. We'll probably get some satin black over anything that looks like it's got a bit of surface rust, but nothing too scary. So I've started cutting holes. The instructions here, you see they say to cut a square out. I don't really like the idea of doing that, so I've got a hole saw in there. I've just cleaned up the bird edges with a bit of sandpaper, and I'm just gonna make sure we got good clearance. And when it comes to final fit up, I'll get a little bit of pinch weld or something in there so that it doesn't rub on the intercooler pipes. But I just think that's a lot neater. It's a car I wanna keep for a long time, so I wanna do it right. Also, there's definitely a couple of things worth noting. If you have an auto 1HZ, you're gonna have to get friendly with a grinder. So just here, that is a mounting point for one of the airbag sensors on the other side. I had to trim the thread off, and what I actually did was trim the mounting tab down a little bit so we've got plenty of clearance there. Also, the transmission cooler hoses, there's a bracket that bolts up right where you need to go. So I've cut that off as well, and we'll give that a sand and just a tidy up. I'll probably tap a hole on the battery tray side there and remount it. But definitely things to consider if you're running the auto. And just on cutting these holes, if you use a hole saw, this is literally a hot tip. As I go, I've got a bit of inox, and I just spray it over everything so it doesn't get too hot. Your blades will last longer, and it's an easier cut. So definitely worth keeping in mind. It also stops little shavings of metal going everywhere. It all sticks to the spot a bit easier, so easier to clean up. Okay, so after quite a bit of cutting, we've thrown the hole saw idea out the window just because clearances weren't really working. We've got it where it needs to be. The intercooler, the instructions for the intercooler itself are okay, but being an auto, there's some stuff that isn't in the instructions I've had to just figure out. So from what I can tell, I got some brackets that'll extend the mounting point of the transcooler. So I'll have to fiddle around with those a little bit, but it looks like they just make it stand out past, well, it's probably the lower one, out past the intercooler, like so. So a little bit more fiddling, but we're getting there. The core mounts up nice and tight, so pretty happy with that. Also, definitely worth noting, and it says in the instructions, you've got to cut into your upper radiator supports a little bit. So just be aware if you buy the PDI kit, that's what you'll be doing. I don't know about other kits, but I'll persist.
So after a couple of mock fitments and just adjusting, pulling it back apart and going again, this is the finished product. So you can see the spaces on the top right of the transcooler and the new center support at about the middle of the intercooler.
All right, so just been doing some fiddly stuff. Everything in the front half is all mounted in place where it goes. There's a little bit of surface rust under the battery tray, so I've just wire wheeled it. We're gonna hit it all with some rust converter now to seal it up, and then a coat of paint. I've also changed the fan in here. So the old one was a yellow dot, a red dot, sorry. I don't know whether that's a good or bad one, but It's pretty well worn. Pretty sure it's had its day, so hope that makes a difference. So we'll get those couple of bits painted up and then I'll start plumbing the intercooler piping on the inside.
So I've blacked everything out here, and if you watch a Mighty Car Mods video, they actually tested a painted black intercooler versus an alloy one, and the painted black was more efficient. I haven't done it for that reason. I guess that's just an added bonus. Mine is more just to keep police attention away and keep the car looking relatively stock.
Okay, so the plumbing of the intercooler is finished. It wasn't as painful as I thought it would be, to be honest. It's a couple of tight little spots, but we're all plumbed up. The bonnet clears. I painted all the piping black just because I don't want it to stand out more than it needs to. But we're looking good. I've also started on the new colour under the bonnet. Everything was rust proofed where I've wired the paint off. So get this car rust free from back to front. So the kit came with spacers for the transmission cooler, which is great. There's 2 brackets at the bottom. Intercooler's blacked and it's looking awesome.
So this is the final product. This is the headlights remounted. It all looks really neat. I'm super happy with how it's come out. And then this is the grille that I customized a little bit. Be interested to know what you guys think, but I personally think it looks awesome. It's making it look different without going too crazy. And the engine bay is now looking super tidy. Now that we've got the intercooler in, I'm going to be doing the highway test with all its results next week. I think you guys will be really impressed by how well it does versus the top mount. So I will see you then.